Emma's hands shook holding crumpled flyer, community pottery class, no experience needed, tossed onto her porch by a rogue wind. 45, she hadn't touched clay since 3rd grade, when her ashtray got lost before Mother's Day. Seattle's drizzle blurred ink, but that spinning wheel graphic? Oddly hypnotic. Next door, sizzling barbecue vibes and laughter seeped through fence. Her stomach nodded. Screw it. If lumpy mugs were her fate, so be Emma's palms left damp streaks on crumpled flyer, its edges frayed like her nerves. 45 years of dodging small-talk community BBQs, of pretending sudden fascination with potato salad to avoid eye contact, yet here she stood, drawn to Pottery Studios' open door like a moth to a kiln's glow. Inside, a clay wheel spun with quiet insistence. Its hum reminded her of childhood summers shaping mud pies behind Grandma's house, back when dirt under fingernails felt like triumph, not mess. Now, adult hands hesitated over cold slab, fingertips grazing raw earth as if testing bathwater. First attempts were lopsided disasters, bowls slumped like deflated balloons, edges jagged as her breath when neighbors asked how's life. But weeks blurred into something softer. Kneading clay became punching down panic, centering wheel mirrored steadying her pulse. By June, her pieces lined studio shelves, wonky mugs with thumbprint imperfections, a vase with glaze pooling like twilight over Puget Sound. When exhibition flyer appeared, Emma's gut clenched. But this time, hands stayed dry. Opening night, strangers lingered by her work. No one asked about shaky starts or awkward pauses. They just touched curves she'd shaped, nodding weight of a bowl meant for holding more than soup. Turns out, spinning vulnerability into something solid had its own kind of alchemy. Emma's fingers left damp smudges on that flyer, but something about its earthy texture steadied her pulse. 45 years of avoiding crowds, yet here she stood outside a sunlit studio smelling of wet clay and possibility. A rogue curl escaped her bun as she peered inside, wheel-throwing demos in progress, hands shaping chaos into curves. Her stomach flipped, but so did that long-buried urge to make instead of just manage. First class was a disaster. Clay stuck to her palms like needy toddlers, her attempt a bowl collapsed into a lopsided pancake. But laughter bubbled up instead of shame, especially when she accidentally flung a glob onto her instructor's apron. Marisol, a potter with silver braids and a no-nonsense grin, tossed her a sponge. Happens to everyone, chica. Clay's got its own vibes, you gotta listen. Week after week, woman returned. Kneading clay became meditation, its cool weight grounding her runaway thoughts. Spinning wheels mirrored life's messiness, centering took patience, but off-kilter lumps could become art if you didn't fight them. She learned to lean into wobble. Evenings once spent agonizing over grocery store small talk now filled with glazing experiments, cobalt drips like midnight rain, rust-red streaks bold as her grandmother's lipstick. Summer brought community BBQs where potters traded salsa recipes alongside glazed tips. She brought her first decent mug, grinning as strangers sipped lemonade from its uneven rim. No one cared about its flaws, they just warmed their hands around it. That's when she noticed, her shoulders didn't hike up near crowds anymore. Marisol nudged her toward annual exhibition. Your pieces tell stories, she said, pointing to Emma's favorite vase, its surface rippled like wind over Puget Sound. Submission day, Emma's knees threatened mutiny, but she pressed a palm to her creation, still faintly damp. Clay had taught her, fragility and strength were partners, not opposites. Gallery lights gleamed on her vases glazed that night. A woman with laugh lines deeper than Emma's ran a finger over its curves. It feels alive, she murmured. Creator nodded, heart pounding, not with fear, but quiet thrill of being seen. Across room, Marisol raised a mason jar of cider in salute. Emma lifted hers back, clay-dusted fingers steady last. Emma's first class smelled like wet earth and second chances. 45 years of avoiding crowds, yet here she stood, wedging clay like it owed her money. A woman beside her chuckled, Emma flinched, then realized joke was a rogue splatter on her apron. Dry humor, she decided, might be her armor. Seattle's gray skies mirrored her skepticism, but that spinning wheel became her rebellion. Early mornings, she'd sneak into studio, stubborn hands wrestling lumps into something resembling a bowl. Cracked edges? Fine. Lopsided vase? Vibes. Each collapse felt familiar, awkward parties, aborted conversations, but clay didn't judge. It just demanded she try again. Community BBQs tested her progress. Plates of charred salmon, voices overlapping like bad radio signals. Creator clutched a misshapen mug, her thumb tracing its uneven glaze. Someone asked about it. Panic fizzed, then faded when she shrugged, made it myself. No pity, just curiosity. Will had taught her that imperfections could be conversation starters. Months later, exhibition notice glared from bulletin board. Submitting work meant eyes, scrutiny, terrifying possibility of being seen. Her stomach lurched. But then she remembered how clay felt when centered, how she felt, for once. Woman signed up, her name wobbling like a first attempt coils. Opening night, her piece sat among sleek sculptures, its rough texture defiant under gallery lights. A teenager pointed, whispering to her mom. Emma braced for critique. Love how alive it feels, kid said. And just like that, Will's lesson clicked, spinning chaos into shape wasn't about control. It was about showing up, cracks and all. She didn't cure anxiety. But she did buy a bigger shelf. Emma's fingers traced Flyer's creases, heart pounding like that time she'd accidentally double-booked a client meeting. Community Pottery Studio, open house tonight. 45 years of avoiding crowds, yet here she stood, outside a brick-walled studio, inhaling earthy clay vibes mingling with rain-slicked Seattle air. Inside, wheels hummed. A woman in paint-splattered overalls waved her over. Emma's knees wobbled, but she gripped clay wheel like it was a life raft. First touch of wet earth shocked her, cool, malleable, forgiving. Unlike people. Unlike her. Weeks passed. Mornings began with coffee and centering clay, evenings with glazing mishaps she laughed off, tiny goof, a lopsided mug she dubbed modern art. Skeptical neighbor Linda, who'd once scoffed adult finger painting, dropped by with barbecue leftovers, lingering as Emma's hands transformed a lump into a vase. Huh, Linda muttered. Didn't peg you for an artist. Then came exhibition notice. Emma's stomach lurched. But Will had taught her this, pressure shapes beauty. She submitted her pieces, awkward first attempts beside sleek new works. Night of show, her booth buzzed. A teen influencer snapped pics of Emma's signature piece, a bowl with swirling imperfections. Authentic vibes. She crowed, posting it. By midnight, Emma's phone blew up with tags. Linda gaped crowd. You're trending. Standing there, clay under her nails, Emma grinned. This was her start. Not as a recluse, not as a nervous wreck, but as someone who'd spun fear into something solid. Will had been her anchor. Now, it was her launch pad. Emma's palms no longer sweat clutching Flyers, now they shape clay into something solid, something hers. That first wobbly bowl? A relic. Seattle's damp air hums as her will spins faster these days, fingers etching grooves with confidence of a woman who's learned imperfection sticks better than glaze. Community pottery nights became her anchor. Not because introversion vanished, she still hides behind oversized sweaters, but because centering clay felt like centering herself. Odd habit? She names each piece after awkward moments, over-caffeinated handshake, forgot your name vase, laughing past while molding future. When annual exhibition flyer landed in her mailbox, Emma didn't crumple it. She rolled up sleeves flecked with dried earth, stacking mugs like tiny victories. Opening night buzzed with neighbors clutching her barbecue sauce-stained platter, a tribute to summer potlucks, their nods weaving a silent we see you. Clay, once a shield, now connected hands without a word. 45 never looked so bold. Emma guides new students now, their trembling fingers mirroring hers years ago. Messes grow gardens, she winks, spinning a lump into curves. Wheels hum whispers back, building community takes grit, not gloss. Your turn. Knead fear into art, muddy hands fix shaky souls.